So I want to, during this time, not just post episodes with Father Ned and I talking, but also to provide just small reflections throughout this time as well, and perhaps other videos. We'll see what the future holds. But for now, just to give a short reflection from time to time, and today specifically to look at St. Joseph and what he might teach us during this time. So I want to draw out kind of two things from St. Joseph. First of all, St. Joseph as worker. We know, of course, that Jesus chose to have Joseph as his foster father. And that says to us something about the importance of work, right? Because Joseph was a man characterized by work. He was known as a carpenter, and so he was one who worked with his hands and certainly taught Jesus how to work. And in so doing, taught all of us the dignity of work. So if you find yourself with extra time during these days, keep in mind that dignity of work and that call to work, that call to serve others that we have as Christians, and that doesn't change just because our situation has changed temporarily and so now we have a bunch of time to waste, but rather now we have time that we need to use in order to work and to serve others in a different way during this time. And we'll get back to things as normal later on, but for now, we use this time to serve in the ways that we can, to work in the ways that we can, for the good primarily of our families, probably. For those of you who are employers, I have recently heard the recommendation that employers continue to pay their employees if they can, despite limited work hours, or even if they can't come into work during this time because of the restrictions. And I agree with that. I think that's a very Christian thing to do, with the caveat that we have to maintain this idea of the dignity of work, and really the idea that bringing in money for the family is something connected to the work we do. That's something that plays into our own sense of dignity. To find something for them to do during that time, something to do at home, which in some way contributes to the company. It doesn't have to be making up for all those hours, but just to do something which gives them a sense that, yes, I'm still earning the money that I'm making, I think would be a more Christian vision of how to go about responding to that than simply just giving them money. Second of all, to look at St. Joseph as a father, I think is very important during this time, because we know that St. Joseph, as the father of the Holy Family, would lead the Holy Family in major decisions, as we see him leading the Holy Family to Egypt and then coming back and leading them to Nazareth and so on. He would also lead the Holy Family in offering sacrifices and prayers and going through the different rites of the Jewish faith, right? So in a similar way, I would call out to the fathers of our families here in our community to really step up during this time, to lead your family in prayer, especially on Sundays when we can't gather as a community for the Eucharist, to really take up the reign and lead your family in prayer, and not just be the one who says the first half of the Hail Mary during the Rosary, but rather the one who sits down and says, okay, we need to come up with how our family is going to pray, how our family is going to stay united to Christ during this time, and then to lead the family in those prayers. And so I call out to you to take that up, and hopefully in one of these episodes coming up, we'll talk a little bit about what you might do on Sundays and so forth. But to take up the reign on that, I ask you to do during this time.